Let's go over to America. Because it's 20 to 9 and it has been quite a day. Simon Marks, LBC's USA correspondent. My goodness. Where do we stand this evening, Simon? There is also the detail of the alleged gunman, lots and lots of... I mean, I found it jaw-dropping, no criminal record, it seems, a teacher of the year or whatever it was. I mean, just fill us in on whatever it is you're feeling right now, Simon.
Yeah, well, there's growing evidence, Ranvir, from writings that the alleged suspect shared with members of his own family and appears to have left behind in the hotel room in the Hilton Hotel where the White House Correspondents' Dinner was taking place, that he was certainly motivated by an animus towards the Trump administration, by a plan to try and kill as many Trump administration officials as possible, although rather curiously, apparently, according to the Daily Beast, in one writing, he suggested that he was going to spare the life of FBI Director Kash Patel. His family members became aware of what is being referred to as his manifesto minutes before the attempted attack on the Hilton Hotel, and indeed minutes before that attack started in Connecticut. His brother was alerting police to his concern that Cole Allen, this 31-year-old teacher from California who apparently had made his way to Washington, D.C. by train. We don't know exactly when. A train that took him also through Chicago on his way from coast to coast. The family was certainly sufficiently concerned about what he was telling them he planned to do that they raised the alarm with police, although seemingly too late for any meaningful action to be taken, because in some reporting it was just minutes before he then tried to charge through that metal detector on the ground floor level of the Washington Hilton Hotel where the attack was carried out. The dinner, of course, was taking place one floor below in the basement. He's now facing already 2 federal charges. I suspect a whole host of additional charges will be levied against him in the days ahead, and he's going to be making his first court appearance here in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday morning. Meanwhile, of course, questions have been raised about whether security needs to be changed in any way for the visit of the King and Queen, which gets underway here in just a few hours' time on Monday, when the royal couple arrive to begin a 4-day state visit to the United States, supposedly to celebrate America's 250th birthday, or to begin the process of those celebrations, which of course will run throughout the year with a big series of events taking place on July the 4th. Independence Day, we're told that a security review has taken place. There may be some alterations to some of the arrangements, but the schedule for that visit remains very much on, and the visit itself very much still on, despite, I think, ongoing questions, it is fair to say, about what a win is going to look like coming out of that visit once it wraps up. But in terms of what all of this has done for the Trump administration, I mean, it was extraordinary last night, I think, to hear the president immediately in his comments at the White House start advocating for his ballroom to be built where the East Wing used to stand at the White House. He argues that's going to be the kind of secure venue that would have prevented this attack from taking place at a commercial venue that was obviously being used last night. There are massive questions to answer about the nature of the security operation at that hotel and why it was so lax last night, with people entering the dinner, only people entering the dinner in the hotel being required to go through any metal detectors, and no photo IDs being required. They simply waved their invitations in the direction of the Secret Service staff, went through the metal detectors, and then went straight into the ballroom. All of that highly unusual, given that all the other business in the hotel was was taking place as usual, and there were presumably thousands of other people in the hotel that had not been security screened, including this alleged gunman. And extraordinary that, of course, there's no talk here whatsoever about the need for tighter gun control, but instead lots of talk about how this could have been obviated by the completion of the White House ballroom.
Right, Simon, absolutely right there. Let me just also bring to LBC listeners, as you said, he went straight into a press conference 30 minutes or so after this attack. But then he also spoke to Fox News in the last few hours. And of course, this was, Simon, wasn't it, the third attempt on Trump's life in as many years. And he claimed that the reason he continues to get shot at is because he gets things done. Let's take a listen.
Well, they sort of said to me, you have a dangerous job. I've known that. I didn't know it was quite as dangerous when I ran very innocently for president, but I'm very happy with the job we've done. And, you know, really, if you're a consequential president, you're in much more danger than if you're not a consequential president. Most presidents are not very consequential. They don't do the job that they're supposed to be doing. I mean, we have to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon because the whole world would be in danger. We would.
Where does that stand?
The Middle East would get blown up. Israel would get blown up within minutes from the time they got it. So we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. So this should have been done by previous presidents. It should have been done for years, 47 years it's been going on, and nobody did anything about it. We had to do that. I took the greatest economy we've ever had, and I said we're going to have to take a little detour and stop that from happening. And that's what happened, and we've done a great job, and it'll come to an end very soon, and we're going to be very victorious.
Simon Marks, on radio, we can't see your facial expressions, but I could.
I mean, you know, so much of that is just poppycock, isn't it? I mean, this argument that only impactful and consequential presidents face assassination attempts. I mean, do any of us remember particularly the presidency of Gerald Ford? Gerald Ford, who took over from Richard Nixon after Watergate in 1975. He was on the receiving end of 2 assassination attempts. The president himself diminishes constantly the presidency of the man he refers to as Sleepy Joe Biden, who preceded him in the White House. In May of 2023, a neo-Nazi tried to ram a truck through a security barrier at the White House while Joe Biden was working inside the building. The man saying that he intended to depose Joe Biden as president. Every single American president, regardless of impact or historic significance, is absolutely at the risk of assassination attempts and death threats. And the number of assassination attempts is not in direct relation, of course, to the impact that those presidents may be having. It is a direct consequence of the extraordinarily lax gun laws that exist in the United States that allow people to get their hands on weapons, many of them militaristic in nature, and unless and until the United States comes to grips with this, every single successor of Donald Trump in the White House is also going very much to be on the receiving end of death threats and assassination attempts. So, and then the way in which he immediately goes off to Iran and sort of he said last night he didn't think there was any link between Iran and this attack. But today, suddenly, because he seems to think that what he's doing in Iran is so consequential, even though there's no evidence whatsoever to support his claim that Iran was within 2 weeks of getting a nuclear weapon that could target the United States. I mean, it is all just extraordinary, but once again, a flight of fancy by a president of the United States who is always set to communicate and not often sits back and allows himself to think about the consequences of what has actually been going on in the United States on a day-to-day basis. And
you and the rest of the press lobby in Washington won't even have time to catch your breath from the events of the last 24 hours before the King and the Queen land in America for the 250th anniversary of American independence. But of course, we know it's not just a diary event. It's not just a cultural handshaking. I mean, what do you think? We've been asking LBC listeners this evening, Simon, whether they think that the special relationship can in any way be repaired by the King's visit. Your thoughts?
I mean, the short answer to that question is no, it can't be, because Donald Trump is president of the United States and he is absolutely intent on diminishing the special relationship, raising ongoing questions about American involvement in NATO, possibly even eventually withdrawing America from NATO, leaving Europe to its own devices, and in accordance with the official national security policies of his own administration, greasing the wheels for what the White House refers to as patriotic European parties, greasing the wheels for them to get into power in London, in Paris, in Berlin, all over the continent. So we might enjoy 96 rancor-free hours here, with the emphasis on the word might. It is possible that the president will want this to pass off without incident in exactly the same way as the government and doubtless the King and Queen want it to pass off. But once it is over, the honeymoon is not going to last any longer than it did after that historic, unprecedented second state visit that President Trump made to the UK. I mean, we will revert to type as soon as the royal couple are out of American airspace.
Simon Marks, thank you with all your insight this evening. Invaluable as always. 8:51, you're listening to LBC with Ranvir Singh.